All right. Hi, Joris. Thanks a lot for taking time for this call. I really appreciate it. So you recently passed your FE Electrical and Computer exam. I'm just going to go through a few questions and learn how you prepared for it. What was your journey like? So first of all, when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2014 with a
So
master's degree.
nice. And when did you do your undergraduate? When?
That was 2012.
2012. So you've been out of school um, for like 7 years since your master's
Yeah,
and about 9 years since your undergraduate.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
And when did you pass your FE exam?
So I passed the FE exam in August 2020.
Right. So August 2020, you were basically post changes, right? In July, they had those changes. NCEES
Yeah,
in July 2020 had some minor changes. They were not very significant, I guess. Um,
yeah. Um, I originally planned to take the exam in June,
yeah,
but because of COVID-19, it got postponed, and I had to at the last minute change a little bit the program. Yeah,
right,
so that was
right.
like a challenge for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of your exam preparation, when did you really start your exam preparation? Last year.
I s- I started in between March and April 2020.
Okay. So it took you about 5 months to prepare for this exam,
Yeah,
give or take.
between 4 to 5 months. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
And how many hours were you putting in on a weekly basis?
Um, on a daily basis, I was at least working 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So your weekly workload for FE exam preparation was 20-ish hours.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Nice. Eh,
And right before the exam, I also took some days off just to have more time to prepare, just to exercise.
Right.
I took a week or two just to, just being focused on the exam and nothing else.
That's great. And you're also working full time, and you were working full time at that time as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time I was working full time, so this is where your program was very helpful. It's just I was like engineering manager, so I have some stuff, and I was traveling a lot
Right.
in between Canada and US at some point. So um, I didn't really have the time to do a lot of research,
Right.
taking care of a lot of stuff in the engineering office. So that was at the time working full time, and yeah, still working full time. So this is very helpful for that.
Right. Do you think that, well, I've heard and I've sort of personally experienced as well that when you are sort of traveling, sometimes it's much easier to study because unless you are with your colleagues and friends and you have plans after the working day, if you are especially working at a remote site, there's not much to do, and you
Yeah.
basically retire yourself to books and your exam preparation resources. What was your experience like?
So for traveling, it was more like not really long stay. I would say
Okay.
for my travels, like you know, I was going to New York, and the next day could be in Ontario. So I was like doing long hours driving.
Okay.
So
You were
yeah, it
not
was more
flying.
like that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
not really a flight or where I
Okay.
could lay over
Okay.
somewhere and have
Right.
like a
Right.
good study. Yeah.
And in that case, you can't really like put it on Bluetooth or listen to the lectures because you have to be more engaged. You have to be looking at what's going on, right? So it's not like an
Yeah.
audio study that you can do while you're driving or something. Okay, so
Yeah.
that could have been challenging. The exam preparation resources. Which exam preparation resources did you use for your FE electrical?
So I used the NCEES prep exam,
Hmm.
and also I got for the FE exam 4 review books. I had the 3 prep exams, and also uh, the main book, the edition
Study
number
guide.
2. Yeah,
Yeah.
the study guide, the second edition,
Yeah.
which was very helpful because you can do a lot of different exercises on the same topic. So, you make sure you understand what you're doing.
Right. Did you happen to use the third edition as well, the black and blue book?
No,
Not book. Okay, just the second
yeah,
edition.
no, just yours and the NCES.
Right. Okay. And you also not?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the online course, how helpful you found it, and why would you recommend it to somebody else?
I would say it's very complete. So on my end, I was like more experienced with I would say first power electronics and stuff like that. I was less comfortable with communication or anything related to computer
Signals.
science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that part was like very challenging for me. So this is where, your courses have been very helpful. Um, and yeah, so that part was nice. And yeah, also I think beside power, which is very similar to what I used to study, like I noticed that everything that I did in computer science was now no more in the exam. Like,
Okay.
there was some coding things that was um used to be before in the exam, and when I took the test, I was no longer there. So I was not like really up to date on those topics. So that was nice to have that kind of refresher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And in terms of the level of depth that I go through the topics in the course, do you think that they were appropriate for the exam preparation?
Yeah, that was like appropriate. Sometimes it's good to have also another support, just to have maybe you have sometimes some white papers that are like very uh, a good complement of your courses, and that can give you the whole picture of what you're doing in the topic. So yeah, I use sometimes like some white papers, yeah, for that.
Sounds good. And what about the study guide and the practice exams?
For the preparation exams, like what I did before the exam is I tried to use those to simulate a real exam. So I was like putting my timer on and try to do as much as I can in those like 5 hours of exam. And the study guide was like super great for um, you know, exercise a lot, making sure you understand. And I think what was good with the study guide is like you tried to have very different exercise in the same topic, so you kind of see all the scenarios you can have, in the
Right.
exam. So yeah.
And the NCEES sample exam, obviously, it is coming directly from the test maker, from the source. I always highly recommend it. So between the practice exams and the study guide and the online course, what was your feeling like going into the you had the exam under control, and what was your feeling during the exam and after the exam?
Uh, a lot of different feelings, before
Right.
and during and after.
Yeah,
Uh, it's kind
that's
of hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to
It
know
changes like from question to question, right, as you're progressing.
exactly like uh I would say like I felt like I have nothing to lose. I
Right.
worked hard, and I
Yes.
think I did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I know it's kind of hard, but there's no regret. So I went
Exactly.
there, I sit down, and started to have some questions in math, and I had some questions I really didn't like uh,
Yeah, we
get
cannot
at the
discuss any
beginning.
exam specific questions, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it just like at the beginning was like, oh gosh, it's harder than I thought for the math. Like it was one of the
Okay.
topics I bet on. I was like, oh,
Right.
that one I'm gonna crush it. And I was like, oh gosh, it's
Right.
kind of hard. And so I skipped a few questions, and then you start to answer some of them. You're right, so you're gaining confidence.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the first session, I went back to the first question I couldn't answer. And okay, and I was like more relaxed, and I could like think
Yeah.
even more and answer those questions. So I think it's very important, like not to get stuck on one question.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
it's going to kill you otherwise. Like you need
Did
to just do keep moving.
Yeah, did you finish the exam on time or had sufficient time left for each of the sections?
Uh, I had at the end of the exam for the last session. I was missing some time. I was like, I had like maybe 15 questions left, and I had like 5 minutes left.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I was like, oh gosh. So there's like, I tried to go through those like very as fast as I could. I found some answers, and for the rest, I was like, okay, just I know you cannot lose points if you just do random. So I just for
Right.
some question I did random. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, time management is a big element, but then I mean, it's sometimes a judgment call, right? Because leading up to those 15 questions, if you have been knocking each one of them or most of them out of the park, then at least you know that you have them in the bag, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you consciously know that, okay, the last couple of sections are gonna be dicey for me anyways, then if you want to, if you go in with the mindset that, okay, most likely I'm going to be guessing on them anyways, so it's not as bad of a strategy. But
No.
ideally, like, if you can leave yourself a few minutes by the end of the exam,
Yeah.
that's a better position to be in.
Yeah, I would say for when I say 15 on some of them, I had an answer in mind, like,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
okay.
I was 90, but I didn't like it. I didn't do a double check.
I see.
So,
Okay.
and there was like maybe, yeah, 10 questions I was like really not sure. So those were more like random, but like, yeah, on five of them for sure, I was like, okay, that was my first answer. So I'll go with that. And
Sounds good. Right. That's good. And you are right now preparing for the PE Power exam,
exactly, yeah,
and you're using
exactly.
my PE Power online course as well and the study guide,
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
and
Yeah,
hoping
yeah.
to get your PE license by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah. At least taking the exam, and if I can have the license by the end of the year, that would be just great. That would be the goal of that year for sure.
Nice, nice. And how do you think your FE exam or passing the FE exam has helped in your career in the short term, and how it's going
Uh,
to help you in the long term?
in the short term, thanks to that, I got a new job actually. Uh,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So with a company in California where I am registered. So I think
Nice.
they've been very interested in seeing me, you know, going through that adventure and you
Hmm.
know having and passing the first exam because I think the company that I'm working for now is like growing and they're like looking for P people.
Yeah.
Um,
It's always good to
so yeah,
be a part of something that is growing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and yeah, I think what I felt is like I used to work with New York State before, and I was like, I had the guy over there, a P actually, and I kind of mentioned I was going through that, and I told him like, you know, I just passed the P. He was like happy for me, and he said like, you know, I could feel like people around me had a different view on me now, kind of, you know, they're like,
Hmm.
oh, you know, you're preparing for P, so you know.
Yeah.
It gives like confidence around you for sure.
Yeah, well, in your case, you have been able to realize a benefit right away, which is a new job, right?
Yeah,
And you're working towards your PE, so that's ultimately the goal, right? And with the
yeah,
PE, essentially, that is essentially the ultimate goal, right? Once you get your
yeah,
PE license, it will open many opportunities for you.
yeah,
Um, and what would be your friends who sort of start with the FE exam preparation, get a little bit sidetracked? I know everyone has different reasons, but this exam is a huge undertaking, right? 4 to 5 months, as you said, 2 to 3 hours every day. It requires quite a bit of conviction, right? If you are if you're not 100% committed to it, chances are you're not gonna follow through, or and I think even a worst case scenario, a worst scenario is that you maybe go in with a half-hearted attempt and you fail, and then you decide that in your mind that actually you're never going to pass. So that basically means that you give it up. In my mind, I think that's the worst case scenario, because
yeah,
yeah, because you shouldn't be giving up. If you want to continue working as a technical engineer or within the capacity of an engineer, um, in your career, then this is a must-have.
yeah.
So
I
what's your
agree. Yeah,
recommendation to students who are sort of on the fence whether they should take it or not? And And how do you come over that procrastination, and how do you motivate
Uh,
yourself, I guess?
so on my end, I was like doing a lot of projects in New York, and I had to go through a PE there, and I was
Okay,
like, I think I can do it. Like,
right,
that's something I mastered, and I was like, I think I can do it. And so at some point, COVID started, and I was like, hey, you know what? I have more time. We're working from
right,
home a little bit, so maybe
right.
it's the right time to do that.
No more
So
commute. Yeah,
yeah, no more commute, and I was like, okay, that's the right time. I need to do it now.
right,
And that's something I was like thinking a lot before, like, should I do it? And I think I started to read stuff online, and I've seen that it's a huge commitment. I got scared a little bit at the beginning too, because on forums you see a lot of people who are like failing the exam. I was like, oh, that must be tough. So, but at
sorry,
some
on
point I
where?
was like,
Sorry, it's
sorry, on different websites like
oh, okay,
forums,
okay,
yeah, and I knew it was something challenging,
okay.
and so I'm sorry, my puppy is
No
like
problem.
jumping on me right
No
now.
problem. That's okay.
Stop. And yeah, so I knew it was tough, and I just got the motivation to do it. At some point, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's commit to 2 hours a day, or at
Right.
least. And yeah, I mean, I would say you need to jump in. If you jump in, uh, do it as fast as you can. Like, I mean, don't like take too much breaks. Like, don't take a week or two
Yeah.
breaks. Like, try to do as fast as you can. Just stay focused. Try to do it like, and I think it's a very big plus. On my end too, I learned so much about electrical engineering that I didn't know about, even if I was
It's a very
like
great
doing it.
refresher. Yeah, it's a very good refresher. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's a good refresher. There's some stuff I didn't know. I was like graduating Europe, so some stuff are different here from there. So I was like a good refresher, and also I think it made me stronger, kind of, in engineering.
Right. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you have to look at the big picture, right? You
yeah,
have to see how it's going to help you, and it is difficult. I mean, I honestly don't think that I've ever come across anyone who looks at the exam and starts preparing for the exam and says that it's a piece of cake for me. Okay, I don't think it is piece of cake for anyone. Maybe if you're fresh out of school, you can get away with preparing for, instead of 4 months, you can get away with preparing for 2 months, but you still have to put in um, significant amount of time, right?
yeah,
But yeah, the dividends are there. It's gonna pay off. Well, in your case, in the short term. For others, maybe in the medium term, and for others, maybe in the long term. But eventually, it's a good credential to have. Okay.
yeah.
And my
Sure.
last question is, what to consider the exam preparation resources that you used?
Uh, as I mentioned before, very you don't lose time looking for info. You have everything in the courses, so uh, you can just jump right in, and you go, like, you're already cruising it, and it's very well organized. So you're going step by step. Uh, Everything is linked together. You can see your progress. You are also challenged with the different problems and exercises. So, it keeps you like in shape for the exam, I think.
All right, sounds good. Okay, thanks a lot for your time, Joris. I really appreciate it. You take time out of your day, and I look forward to helping you with your PE Power exam preparation as well, which
Great.
hopefully we'll get it done